Hello and welcome back everybody, it is Crazy Welder, and in today's video I'm going to be going over a really awesome tactical game called 0 Hour, which in every kind of respect is a clone of SWAT, or rather a kind of spiritual successor, and this game does an overall fantastic job of making you feel like you're a part of a tactical team, doing a ton of room clearing, basically hanging out with your cop buddies and being able to save hostages, defusing bombs, as well as just doing tactical intervention in cases when there are buildings that are effectively under siege. Now you're going to have a lot of tools of the trade. You're going to have your typical breaching charges, your shotguns, your assault rifles, your night vision goggles, etc. And of course there are going to be a number of different scenarios that really put your skills to the test in this particular title. Now, this is of course an early access game, so not everything is quite 100% done yet, but one of the most fun features is the ability to rappel. You're going to be using this a ton to get to various different points in the game, as well as to give you additional tactical options to be able to take out baddies as you effectively make the buildings your playground to be able to get to anywhere you want as you please in a really quick way. Now, I'm not sure if the ability to move the rappelling hooks around is something that is a bug or a feature in this title, but nonetheless it does make for a very fun experience when you're using these particular tools to get around, as it allows you to scale various parts of the buildings in a really easy way. And you're going to spend quite a bit of time shooting baddies in this title, as you know, should be suggested given that it is essentially a SWAT-like game. However, the gunplay here that is on show is really incredible. I've had a lot of fun shooting the various different weapons that are around. I've found myself kind of drawn to the SCAR quite a few times just because it feels like a really versatile weapon, and given that I tend to like to engage my targets at a longer range, given that they tend to be extremely accurate in this particular title, it just seems to work. Night vision goggles, another great kind of addition to the arsenal here, and one of the better implementations I've seen in modern titles. I would even say, go as far as to say that it's better than Call of Duty, in my opinion, just the way that it looks and the way that the goggles themselves behave. Now, with that said, of course, there is a decent bit of map variety as well. You'll have a number of indoor, as well as a number of sort of outdoor environments that you are able to explore. The plane map being sort of one of the more kind of bigger maps that you get to be around on, as well as one of the more different ones where you're not necessarily stuck in some kind of a building, as you are able to engage the bad guys at various different distances. Now, the one part here that is, regrettably some of the more, strange omissions to the game for me is that there is a distinct lack of sniper rifles or sniper support in this title, meaning that by and large you're going to be stuck using pretty much whatever guns you have available, which, at this point in time, you've basically got an AK, an MP7, you've got the, M4, you've got the SCAR, you also have as well a shotgun, basically a tactical pump-action shotgun that is available to you, and also there are a number of different pistols. Right now there's what appears to be mainly the Glock and the Deagle, so not too many choices in that regard. Tactically speaking, you've also got door jamming, you've got the ability to get C2 charges, you can also of course use night vision goggles if you so choose, and you've got flashbangs and grenades, although they are saying that they will be implementing more different gadgets such as the likes of basically an opti wand where you're able to use a fiber optic cable to see what's on the other side of the door. They are looking to also implement a number of systems with the ballistic shield. Right now it is something that you can use, however I have found that the ballistic shield is not super useful, as you basically kind of have to take your weapon and shoot it as you have the shield lowered, which is kind of an annoying sort of feature. I would have preferred that they would have done something a little bit more similar to what has been seen in Ready or Not. If you guys haven't played that game, I recommend jumping on the supporter edition for that title as well. It is another one of those kind of SWAT-like games. However, with this title, you get quite a bit of interesting different scenarios that play out, from, again, rescuing the hostages to bomb defusal, and these are all things that also apply to the multiplayer. Now, At this point in time, the multiplayer in the game, at least on the US West Coast, is kind of dead. It seems like on the East Coast and in Europe, there are a few more servers up where people are actually experiencing the full sort of co-op edition of this title as it is intended to be played. Now, I have not fully experienced the multiplayer portion of this title. However, given the single player so far, I am pretty excited to play the final variant. Now, to say that this game has, a number of flaws is, of course, an understatement. There are still a lot of different aspects that they need to work out. There are a number of glitches still happening with the animations. Sometimes going prone results in your character kind of glitching out, especially if you are on stairs, which is definitely a detriment when you are trying to be sneaky and trying to be tactical. However, I do like the fact that when you need to breach a window, you can simply press space and your character will kick off from the wall and be able to breach either into a window or into an open space, allowing you to gain access to an area that otherwise would not be accessible in, other comparable titles. Now, of course, there are previous games, such as, for example, entries in the Rainbow Six series that have done rappelling sort of to a large extent as well, but I don't think the implementation there was nearly as fun as it is in this particular game, and they just make it really fun to be able to descend and rappel upwards in a great amount of speed to get you to where you need to go. I would have liked that they would have had some kind of a quick rappel version like you've seen in, for example, the Splinter Cell series, specifically with the Splinter Cell Online editions where the mercs are able to rappel really quickly down to a lower floor. I think this would make escaping certain kind of confrontations with the terrorists a lot of fun, but of course there are still certain kinks that need to be worked out. At this point, they are working on implementing more new animations as well as new weapons and new customization options for the players so that the game is basically constantly in a state of flux. Now, we don't know sort of what sort of things are going to come down the pipe sort of at some point in the future, but I've had an absolute blast playing this title. I strongly recommend picking this game up. I think it is an underrated gem as far as tactical shooters go. There aren't too many in this particular kind of genre anymore, and the ones that do exist happen to be, they're kind of crappy for the most part, and so I don't think that there are a whole lot of choices. I have tried Ground Branch as well as Squad, and none of them really hit the point home quite as much as this game does. And of course there's the old Takedown Red Saber, which is another title that kind of tried to capture the same sort of magic, but ultimately fell flat on its face in a lot of areas, owing due to poor AI, as well as just a general kind of inability to be able to have good weapon handling and general mechanics in the game that just completely make it an outdated game, despite the fact that it is a relatively recent release, making it one of those games that feels dated even compared to SWAT, a game in and of itself that was released, well over a decade ago at this point and still holds up really well today. However, with this title, they are still polishing a lot of the mechanics, and I'm not sure there's going to be a campaign, but it does sound like there's going to be more and more missions and more content as time goes by. So I'm going to drop a link for you guys in Steam to be able to purchase this title so that you can check it out on your own time. Have some fun with it, play it, jump on some servers, and just let me know what you think about it. For me, this is something that, while I can't really give it a score right now, graphically the game is really good. It hits all the main points. The handling for the weapons is generally pretty perfect. Doors don't have a tendency to glitch. Rounds and just the sounds as well as the ambience in the game are fantastic. There's a lot of really good work that's been put into it, and I think that given a little bit more polish, it could really become the tactical shooter on the market that everybody should aspire to. So with that said, that concludes my brief review of this title. So stick around if you want to see more tactical game reviews, and I'll be updating this one as the game gets more and more patches. So I'll hope to see you guys in the next video.